Today, we're going to talk about burnout with ADHD. I've completely shut down 3 times in my life, but before we go on to this, all my videos are meant to be just you and me shooting the shit. We're just talking about whatever ADHD thing comes into my mind. And the reason we're doing this is because I think that ADHD is an uneducated topic. Why do I think that? Is because just in my comment section alone, people, even with ADHD, love to say that doesn't affect them, so it doesn't affect anyone. Things, to this effect. Now, that is absolute poppycock, no matter how you dress it up. So I decided to do these videos to try and educate people on how ADHD can affect you, what it looks like, and also give you guides and strategies to be able to overcome these things. Anyway, like I said, I've had burnout 3 times in my life, complete burnout, a really bad ADHD burnout, basically. And it was not a bad week. It was months, literal months, where I just stopped talking, I stopped moving, I stopped being me. I couldn't even focus. And the first 2 times, I genuinely thought maybe I was broken. And I'm sure that everyone with ADHD has felt like this at some point because it hits us all. So I felt like something in me had just switched off. Like I was in standby mode, if you will, but I just couldn't get going. And the third time, I finally understood what was happening. It wasn't a surprise. I knew it was coming. And if you've ever hit that wall where everything that you've built just collapses completely, this might be the most important video that I'll ever make. If this is your first time here, I'm Liam. I was diagnosed with ADHD at 3 years old and I've lived with this brain for 31 years. Hit subscribe if you want more videos like this, because what I'm about to tell you is something that I wish someone had told me long before the first time it ever happened. So the first time I ever noticed something was properly wrong, I was working at Audi. Now, I've had this happen previously, but I didn't notice it or realize what had happened. So I was working at Audi, and on paper, everything was good. The money was amazing. I was performing. I was hitting 6 figures. I was hitting targets. But they leaned on me hard. Leaned on me so hard, it was ridiculous. Whenever they were a couple of cars short of target, Muggins here was always asked, it was just dumped on me even. Not asked, just always dumped on me. Liam will handle it. Give it to Liam. Let him sort it. And I could. And I did. And that is the problem. I could handle it. So they just kept giving me more and more and more. And I was doing 30, 40 car weeks at Audi. That is a joke. That is ridiculous. There was times where I was selling 40 cars and having to hand those over in a month. That is just insane. If you don't know, you don't know. That's fine. But on average, the target for per person in a dealership is around 10 to 12. So to be doing 40 is wild. Anyway, that was 7 days a week. 7, not 5 or 6. I was in there every day. And the thing that nobody tells you about ADHD burnout is it doesn't hit you like a wall. It doesn't just slam you. It doesn't announce itself. It just creeps in bit by bit, bit by bit, bit by bit. You just start interacting less. One day you don't join in a conversation at lunch, or you'll stop making the jokes and you can't understand why it's not happening, and then you'll stop answering unless someone is directly asking you something and specifically looking at you. And it just slowly became more and more and more of the not interacting situation, until I couldn't even be bothered to talk anymore, or even move, to be totally honest, or anything, like feed myself, wash, shower, anything. And that is when I realized that there was something about the ADHD brain. It doesn't have a middle gear. We are full throttle, pedal to the metal, or emergency brake. There's no I'm a bit tired, I'll take it easy this week, chill out or whatever. No, none of that. It is 100% or just nothing. Simple, nothing. And the brake doesn't tap, it slams. So you ever braked in an automatic with your right foot, the wrong foot basically, and you nearly go through the window? Well, that's what it's like. Here is what makes it worse, at least for me in this Audi thing. The Audi thing wasn't the first time. It had already happened before, probably twice I think, but the worst one was at VW, Volkswagen. That one genuinely nearly broke me. See, before Audi, I was a Volkswagen, and I am not being dramatic when I say this. I was the best. I actually was number one for I think like a year in total, but genuinely 100% top performer. I won awards every single month. And that was my identity. I loved it. That is who I was. Liam, the one who smashes target. Liam, the one who always finds a way. And then I left. And overnight, I just went from being the best in the world at something to absolutely nothing. It's kind of like when Olympians, finish up, or when athletes are done. I know it's not to the same extent or level, but, I felt like such a failure. Not because I wasn't performing, because I didn't know who I was without that, stigma. See, the thing about ADHD brains is we don't just do things. We become them. We envelop them. Our identity wraps itself around whatever we are hyper-focusing on. That can be your job, that can be your routine, that can be a person. When it gets taken away, we don't just lose that thing, we lose ourselves, because we've so much become. And your brain doesn't really know how to process that, unfortunately. So it does the only thing that it knows how or what to do, and it pulls that emergency brake. Everything stops. You stop talking, you stop moving, you stop being you. And from the outside, it probably looks like laziness, or maybe even depression, or one of those, he's just going through a phase, don't worry about him. But it's not, and it's not, because it's your brain protecting itself the only way it knows how. Now, you might be thinking, Liam, that's just grief, that's just stress. Everyone goes through that. And yeah, you would be right. On paper, maybe. But here is what makes it different. With ADHD, it's not proportional. It's a neurotypical person, they lose a job and they're gutted for a few weeks, or maybe they get a few days, to get a new job. An ADHD brain loses a job and the entire operating system, it just crashes. Because it wasn't just a job, it was the thing holding everything in place. It's like the glue, if you will. The routine, the structure, the reason to get up. Take one brick out and the whole wall will completely fall. That is the ADHD bit. That's why it's not just stress. The third time was the absolute worst. This was a total collapse. My granddad passed away. He was my best friend in the whole world, and I shut down. Just completely. For probably about 3 months, I think. Maybe even a bit longer. But this one was different because it wasn't about performance. It wasn't about a job or targets or identity. It was about the one person who genuinely made everything make sense. I do have Jessica, and she's amazing. But at the time, my granddad was my anchor, really. He's always been my anchor. So I didn't really know what life looked like without him. And I didn't really understand how I was going to, go forward, how I was going to get on with life. I know I have Jessica, and she is absolutely amazing. And obviously now the granddad has passed and everything I've developed and understood, I'm in a much better place, and I've been in a much better place for a while. But he was the person I went to for advice and understanding and just to shoot the shit like we're doing right now. He's the person who helped me figure things out. He was the one who, when my systems didn't work, I could go to. When I couldn't make sense of something, he was there. He was the absolute person. And when he died, I remember thinking, basically, who's going to help me now? There's a fly in my face. I'm very sorry. How am I going to manage? Where do I go for advice? Like, how can I trust other people? My systems won't work anymore, which obviously is nonsense. But not because the systems broke, because they were working fine. They've been working for ages. But because the person who held them, he wasn't here anymore to hold them. No glue. And the same thing happened all over again. I stopped talking, I stopped moving, I stopped being me. And after 3 months, it was the same pattern, same shutdown, different trigger. And that is what I need you to hear. It's the same every time. It's not a different thing, whether it's overwork, whether it's losing your identity, whether it's losing someone you love. The ADHD brain responds in the exact same way every single time. Emergency brake, full stop. Nothing is going to happen. Nothing goes on. And it's not laziness, and it's not weakness, and it's not just getting over it because I'm fucking sick of hearing that. It's your brain saying, I've been running a full throttle for so long. I cannot do this anymore. I am done. But here's the part that actually matters. Every single time Jessica was there, she understood. She didn't try to fix me, and she didn't try to tell me to snap out of it. She just made my life so much easier, very quietly, working in the background until I could breathe again and be normal and, activate again. And she's the reason that I came back, definitely the third time, but every time. And she stops them in advance now. She is genuinely the most amazing person in the world. She is literally perfect for me. She also has ADHD. And if you've got someone like that, please don't take that for granted. Because an ADHD brain in shutdown mode is not an easy thing to be around. Not even close. I said at the start, I've shut down 3 times. And honestly, it'll probably happen again. It's funny now and it's not funny at the time. That's the bit that nobody warned you about. It's not a one-time thing. It's not a 3-time thing. It's just know what it is. I know it's the emergency brake, and you do too. I know what it looks like when it's coming, and you do too. And Jessica knows what it looks like when it's going to happen to me and also to her. And that is the difference. Not that it stops, but that someone sees it happening, the awareness piece. We want to be aware of it. This video was about what ADHD burnout actually looks like. But if you want to know the systems that I use every day to keep the emergency brake from pulling, the sound, I'm not doing it again, then you can watch one of these videos here, or you can click the link in the description and you'll be able to see all of the guides that I have there available. Most of them are free. Give them a download.